you're not police.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
We're out
we
here
are.
keeping
No, you're not. You're security. I'm calling 911.
No, you're under arrest now for concealing identity.
No,
See our badges?
No,
Remember when I told you I was with the police department? You have to
no, I
identify
didn't
yourself.
see your badges.
That's his car.
They're on our
That's my
uniforms,
car.
okay?
Freedom is important, and it's important to get things right before you're going to deprive someone of their freedom.
The automated payment machine hums in a Target store in Albuquerque. A man stands before it, feeding bills into the slot, counting his money carefully. He's buying a bicycle. The transaction is taking longer than usual, not because he's doing anything wrong, but because he moves differently than most people. He processes information at his own pace. This pace will cost him everything. Somewhere in the store, employees grow impatient. A call is made, not because merchandise is missing, not because anyone is threatened, simply because a customer is taking too long at a machine designed to accept money at whatever speed someone can insert it. The complaint is minor, the kind that might warrant a conversation, perhaps an offer of assistance. Instead, it brings officers. Watch the approach. There's no assessment, no attempt to understand the situation before engaging. The officers arrive with a conclusion already formed. This man must leave. The fact that he's mid-transaction, that his money is still in the machine, that he's clearly confused by their sudden appearance, none of this registers as relevant information. The first command comes quickly. Stop. Put your money down. Come with us. The words overlap, contradicting each other, creating impossible choices for someone who struggles to process rapid instructions. Pick up your money. You're coming with us. The man tries to comply, tries to gather his bills, tries to understand what he's done wrong. The officers interpret his confusion as resistance. His disability is visible in every frame, the way he speaks, the way he moves, the slight delay between question and response. These are signs that trained officers should recognize, signals that demand patience rather than escalation. Instead, the signs become justification for force. His slowness becomes non-compliance. His confusion becomes obstruction. The man's money remains partially in the machine. He's been counting it, organizing it, preparing to complete a purchase he never gets to make. The officers don't care about the transaction. They care about removal. The bicycle he intended to buy sits somewhere in the store, waiting for a customer who will be dragged out before he can claim it. Witnesses watch in silence. Store employees who made the call, who expected perhaps a conversation or a gentle escort, now see something else entirely. One will later testify that she didn't expect police to take it that far. The gap between expectation and reality widens with every second of footage. The man tries to explain. He was just paying. He didn't take longer than anyone else. The words come out fragmented, his distress making communication even more difficult. The officers don't slow down to listen. They have a task: remove this person, and they pursue it with the efficiency of people who see compliance as the only acceptable response. His phone becomes his lifeline. He reaches for it, understanding instinctively that documentation might be his only protection. The gesture is defensive, not aggressive, a citizen trying to create a record of what's happening to him. But in the officer's interpretation, reaching for anything becomes a problem to be addressed. The words come out clearly. I'm calling 911. The statement should pause everything. A citizen is requesting emergency services. He believes he's in danger. He believes something wrong is happening. The proper response is to wait, to allow dispatch to mediate, to demonstrate through patience that the encounter is legitimate. Instead, the announcement accelerates the arrest. The officer's response is immediate. You're under arrest now for concealing identity. The charge materializes from nowhere, a justification invented in real time to explain force that was already in motion. The sequence is backward. The arrest preceded the crime, the charge followed the resistance. The explanation came after the action. The man doesn't believe they're police. His words make this clear. Your security, he says. The confusion is understandable. Plainclothes officers, aggressive approach, demands without explanation. Nothing about this encounter reads as legitimate law enforcement to someone who's already struggling to process the situation. His request for badges, for proof, for some verification that he should comply, is treated as further evidence of guilt. The officers show badges eventually, but the acknowledgement comes with accusation. Our fault you didn't look. The statement captures something essential about the encounter. The burden has been placed entirely on the citizen to recognize authority instantly, to comply immediately, to process information faster than his disability allows. His failure to meet these impossible standards becomes his crime. The physical escalation begins. Hands are grabbed, the man is pulled, his body doesn't move the way the officers expect. Whether from resistance or disability or simply the mechanics of being forced in directions he doesn't understand, the distinction doesn't matter to the officers. What matters is that he's not flowing smoothly toward the exit, and anything short of smooth compliance invites more force. The scene plays out in full view of customers and employees. People who came to buy household items now witness an arrest. Some step forward, voicing concern, asking what's happening. Their protests are ignored. The officers have committed to this course of action, and public disapproval is simply background noise. The phone call to 911 continues in fragments. The man tries to explain to dispatch what's happening. Security guards, he calls them, still not believing these are real police. He's describing his own arrest to emergency services, seeking help from a system that has already sent the people hurting him. The irony is bitter. His head moves toward the concrete. The takedown happens with the practiced efficiency of officers who have done this before. The man's physical limitations make him unable to break his fall, unable to position himself safely, unable to do anything but absorb the impact. Witnesses describe the scene as heartbreaking. The word captures something precise. This is an encounter that damages everyone who sees it. The charges read like a catalogue of invented crimes, concealing identity for a man who was confused, not evasive, resisting arrest for a man whose disability made rapid compliance impossible, trespassing at a store where he was a paying customer with sufficient funds to complete his purchase. Each charge is a translation of his vulnerability into language that justifies what was done to him. He's taken to the station, processed, held. The bicycle he intended to buy remains in the store, a reminder of the transaction he never completed, the simple purchase that became a criminal matter. The employee who confirmed he had enough money to pay watches the footage and wonders how a misunderstanding became an arrest. The charges are eventually dropped. The acknowledgement comes slowly, bureaucratically, without fanfare, the quiet admission that nothing he did warranted handcuffs, takedowns, or booking. But dropping charges doesn't restore the hours in custody, the fear during the encounter, the physical force applied to a body that couldn't resist. The officer's history surfaces. This isn't an isolated incident, an unfortunate escalation in an otherwise clean career. Kenneth's skin has been here before. An internal investigation into a previous shooting found he failed to de-escalate. He failed to attempt life-saving treatment after shooting someone. A pattern exists, documented in department files, apparently insufficient to prevent him from continuing to encounter vulnerable citizens. Another case emerges, a fatal shooting at a gas station the same month. 3 officers involved, Skin among them. He claimed to see a gun in the suspect's hand, a claim later questioned based on his position at the scene, a verbal warning, an 8-hour suspension. The consequences that followed a death were measured in hours, not careers. The trial comes nearly 2 years later. Target employees take the stand, describing what they saw. The asset protection specialist who made initial contact testifies that he never asked police to remove the man, only to make contact, only to de-escalate. The disconnect between request and response becomes central to the case. The surveillance footage plays for the jury. They see what the body cameras captured, what witnesses described, what the man himself tried to document on his phone. The visual evidence is difficult to explain away. Of course that video looks bad, the defense acknowledges, attempting to provide context that might soften the impact. The charges against the officer are serious: false imprisonment, perjury, making a false report, battery. Each count represents a specific failure, a particular moment where the officer's actions crossed from aggressive into criminal. The same system that protected him after a shooting now holds him accountable for an assault. The Attorney General's statement cuts through the legal language. Rather than acting as a professional public servant and guardian of vulnerable members of his community, the officer engaged in abusive and unlawful behavior. The words name what the footage shows, not a mistake, not an overreaction, but abuse. The termination comes, the career ends. An officer who survived internal investigations, who continued working after fatal encounters, who accumulated a pattern of escalation, finally reaches a line the department won't cross. A disabled man at a payment machine became the case that couldn't be explained away. The man who wanted to buy a bicycle never got to complete his purchase. The store may still bar him from entry. The trespass order that accompanied his arrest, the one thing that might survive the drop charges, the transaction that started this, the simple exchange of money for merchandise, remains incomplete. The bicycle waits for someone else.